Welcome to the Vault Podcast, classic music reviews, presented by IV Creative. Now, here's your hosts, B. Cox and the crew.
Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Vault Podcast, classic music reviews, presented by IV Creative. It's perspective on the classics from a fresh point of view. Appreciate you for taking your time and lending your ears to our perspective. You could be anywhere listening to anything, but you're right here with us, so we thank you. With you today, of course, is yours truly, B. Cox, and with me I have the crew comprised of these fine gentlemen. Of course, to my left, my boy, Cousin Damo. To my right, we have DET Dave, and right in front of me, of course, my man Jay. J.O., appreciate having y'all gentlemen here today, and pleased to have you to come here to have us chop it up over the classics. And as always, we take you back in time. So today,
way back.
And of course, now today we are taking you back to 1999 to review this album, which is Prince Paul, A Prince Among Thieves. This was released February 23rd, 1999 on Tommy Boy Records. Tommy Boy and Warner Brothers, actually. Yeah, and now for those of you who are out there listening, we all know Tommy Boy's had some pretty bad press because of their war they've had with De La Soul. Messages that De La put out on social media lately to their fans about their catalog. They couldn't reach an agreement on their streaming rights, so they're asking all of their fans to not stream any of their music, which is really hard for me to do now because that's how I listen to all my music nowadays. I mean, and now listening to
the CD case no more.
No, man, I don't have anything anymore. But
a few years ago, it was like they had actually given out their whole catalog for free online.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, and I got the whole joint. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. So February 23rd, 1999, Tommy Boy, Warner Brothers record, runtime of 77 minutes and 11 seconds. It's executive produced, solely produced, of course, by Prince Paul. Those of you who, of course, who are familiar with Prince Paul, he did a lot of his work with the De La Soul, produced their landmark album 3 Feet High and Rising, also did work with the Grave Diggers and Statisonic. He's been a veteran in the game. This was his second album, actually, that he released. This was a project with a lot of different features, and this had a lot of different moving parts. Just some of the rappers and artists who were featured on this album, you had Breeze, Shaw, Big Shaw, Horror City, Big Daddy Kane, Chubb Rock, Biz Markie, Sadat X, Exhibit, Everlast, Kool Keith, Kid Creole, Heroin, and also De La Soul. And of course, there were skit contributions by none other than Chris Rock, which I saw the fellas talking about earlier before the show with and Buckshot, and then also RZA. This is actually a very interesting album, and it had been some times as I listened to this in full all the way through, and I understood why when I started listening to it, and my memory pretty much kicked in. February 23rd, 99, where we all were. I mean, all of us, I think, were all at least in high school or finishing up high school, and at that point where we were, coming of age. First reactions on this album, and of course, this album was, for everyone who's not familiar with Prince Paul, Prince Among Thieves, this is a concept album. It really was really like a story within an album about two rappers, Tariq and also True. And the story's about Tariq trying to get on, working with his man True, and then also there being a plot to be able to get money for a demo, which was $1,000 for a demo, which is crazy. Even thinking about, even in '99 is a lot of money for a demo tape, right? Because Tariq had a meeting with the Wu. Had a meeting with RZA to be able to try to get a record deal, and he goes to his man True, who used to be his rap partner, who is now a hustler, to try to get the money.
Who taught him how to rap?
Yeah, who taught him how to rap, he said, to get the money. And in order to get this money, True offers to help him get in the game of hustling, and then it begins this long story of betrayal, and then also of a deal gone wrong and friendship turned into a betrayal. So just to sort of talk about, we'll start, of course, with you, Dave. Your first reaction when you first listened to the album, pretty much your lasting reactions after a while listening to it again in anticipation of this review.
When I first heard it, of course, this is the first time I heard it.
Okay.
I knew about Prince Paul because of his work with De La Soul. I listened to it all the way through, all 35 songs. Oh gosh, it was hard. It was hard, but after understanding that it was a concept album, kind of like The Listening, or Little Brother's second album, The Minstrel Show. It was all like it's a show. It's like a story. So I sat down and listened to him, and just certain things about it. I'm just like, man, it's a lot of interludes on this joint. It's a lot of interludes, a lot of features, lots of interludes. The production was good.
Yeah.
Production was really, really well done. But it's just so long to get through. So long to get through.
And that's his hallmark, because that's what he's been known for as a producer. This was his showcase for his production with a lot of different supporting artists or supporting actors, as you could say, supporting acts, as you could. So Jay, we'll go to you, man. Your first reaction when you first listened to it, and then your lasting reactions after listening to it again after some time.
Well, February '99, so yeah, I was senior in high school.
Okay, so you're a year behind us. Ahead of us.
Ahead of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
2 ahead of me.
Yep, class '99 right here. So
Yeah.
20 years, man. But like so I guess it was easy for me because I knew going in it was a concept album. Like because this was, and I'm pretty sure you guys remember, this is back when we still had the box. So I saw the video for it, and it kind of already laid out everything. So by the time I got the album, I was just following along. I mean, and 35 tracks. I mean, it is a pretty long album even for back then. So just thinking about like how it was like crafted and even the interludes and everything like that. I mean, I followed along because I knew it was a story. It just didn't bore me. I was like, I did want to hear like what came next. I mean, not to sound like the oddball for anybody that's not in the concept albums. That's one of my favorites within the genre of hip hop.
Okay.
I mean, and I guess like towards the end of it back then, the showdown and everything like that. I hope not spoiling anything, or I don't know if it's spoilers like 20 years later, but
We don't worry about spoilers. You shouldn't be ever. Yeah,
tonight,
exactly. Exactly.
So like towards the end, like with the showdown and how it ended, like with Tariq pretty much like popping one in his own dome like that, and then Sha doing that really disingenuous rest in peace on my boy, which I ain't gonna lie, like just the concept like that. Joint job made me sick, but like it just showed how good like the story was, because kind of started off Scorsese style, how it starts in the present.
Yeah,
it's like we had to go back to see how it was,
how everything came to be.
Right.
Exactly.
So then when it brings us up to speed towards like wing to the end, and then like everything that led up to what happened with Tariq, and then that final.
Ain't that funny how that name is?
And,
Oh man, come on, bro.
Well, I mean, if you want to, if we're talking about a certain show, like it kind of like comes up in certain circles that could piss you off, like it did me on season 5.
For all power fans out there,
right.
Good observation, Dom. Good observation.
You know what I'm saying? So like, by the time that final track came on, which is the title track, "A Prince Among Thieves," which vicious production on that joint. Yeah, I mean, it just like really tied everything together and it really showed how much of a snake, he could be. I mean, I guess in this circle, Tariq is a snake, whereas the other one is more or less a dumbass.
And a snake.
Yeah.
Oh, and a snake.
Yeah.
Because I'm still trying to catch up with season 5. So I mean, I ain't tripping out spoilers either. Just Tariq pissed me off so much in season 5. Whatever he was doing, but yeah, so that's where I was. I mean, it just left a lasting impression, like just like chalked it up to wild like concept albums like that, and like the storyline that just kept going. So that was my take on it.
And Damo.
What was I? I'm a sophomore, February '99, running around like I'm a junior. But yeah, I remember listening to it back then because of my cousins. I had older cousins; they was in their 20s, so they was hyped about it. I think back then we really enjoyed storytelling more back then. That's what I got from the album. It was great storytelling. Like you could visualize what was going on from the beginning to the end, the way they broke it down. His mother going off, telling him go get that money, and her falling for the trick of the friend coming over to the house. It's a nice guy in front of her, but that nigga a snake in real life and grimy out in the streets. The lyrics, it was hard to get through now compared to all the music I've heard from 20 years ago, but I got through it, and it was just, I like the storytelling is a great thing about it.
No, I do. And Prince Paul, in reading up about this album, said that he had a hard time of getting Tommy Boy and Warner Brothers to go along with doing this album. He actually wanted to do it years ago, but couldn't get them on board of doing an album like that, and then finally got to go ahead in order to be able to do it. He was able to lay it out. These are my first reaction. To me, I thought it was an interesting concept of an album. The first time I listened to it about 20 years ago, I was a junior in high school. It took me a couple of times to get through it, but I loved the production to me. And me starting out and being a producer, that's what I loved about it. I love the fact that how he used some of the samples, because I actually, in the second time of listening to it, I went back and listened to some of the records that he sampled and pulling from them and seeing it's interesting. As a producer and being a fan of music, you go back to see how some producers manipulate samples and chop them up. And, just Quality work. I love the features the first time around, especially the one with the legends. You had Chubb Rock, Big Daddy Kane.
That was a highlight.
You know, being able to have cats like Exhibit and even Everlast there, you know. So Lasting, I would have to say when I listened to it more recently, I would definitely say that I was surprised at the concept and how it worked. I thought it was a courageous and a brave idea because you can do an idea like that and it could not work and you can bomb, you know, but it seemed to work. And to me, I think it's refreshing nowadays in an era now where you have so many retreads and replays and so many copycats of everybody doing the same thing. Risky but thought-provoking, like we talked about this whole thing. That's the way that the streets were, especially in New York back then, you know, the hustle culture. And you said, like, hey, I think we all kind of knew somebody in our circle that was sort of like a true, you know? Like somebody that was sort of...
Shit, I know one now.
Yeah, so...
Matter of fact, it relates more now than then.
Yeah.
All over the world.
Yeah, exactly. So...
More things change, more they stay the same.
Yep.
Like,
The whole time though.
Yeah, and so to me, lots of good features, amazing creativity, great organization, because to pull that many featuring artists and the concept of being able to lay this out literally like a movie script takes a great deal of organization. So I was really impressed with that, especially listening to it now after about 20 years or so. I guess I'll kind of go to as far as like what the album themes. To me, I describe it more so as like I read to it in somewhere where a writer described it as a hip hop opera. It reminded me more so like sort of like a hip hop musical. Like we all, you know, like I don't know if anybody remembered Carmen back in the day that MTV did featuring Beyonce and Mos Def. It reminded me a lot like a B movie on BET or TV One, like one of those you know, made for television movies you see on BET on Saturday night.
It definitely can be a 2-hour episode of Tales.
Yeah, exactly.
with a little bit higher quality, I will say that. You know what I mean? Like,
That's interesting. I would like to see something like this if somebody was willing to do something like this on Tales, man. Because this could be like a special edition of Tales where you do this album in itself as an actual episode
This would
of
actually
Tales.
be a good album to do on Tales
It
for
would be.
more than an hour and a half.
yeah, matter of fact, like one thing I heard about the album was like he wanted to do it like a movie, but Tommy Boy wouldn't get behind it.
Wouldn't give him the
You
go.
know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't
Like,
give him
it
the
wouldn't-
go.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely had more potential to get to that point, but unfortunately, it just never progressed. So
That actually would have been the first kind of how Art was in Chicago who remained nameless.
Okay.
With the closet. We
Yeah.
could have had this was said before that. That would've
Yeah.
been the
Black
original.
disgrace.
But you know, and that sort of talks to about how things were back then. To me, I even think that the quality of music was maybe a little bit better. But
Now he could have just went on YouTube and did it.
yeah, but now I think, you know, the restrictions that you have with labels, especially because labels ran the game now, and now it's completely different where you can completely be independent because the tools and resources are at your feet to be able to do something like this and be able to have your own call. If you want to do a movie, I'm pretty sure he could if he can get the resources and the money behind it. The hustling culture, of course, we talk about it. Demos, how important demos were back then when people used to make demos because you were trying to get put on. Right. Like you were trying to get put on by a label because, you know, you needed to go to a studio. You have to put together a demo. You had to shop it and send it to so many different labels to try to get put on.
yeah, it's another thing that's changed over the 20 years too. Like
It has.
with, like YouTube and like social media. Like back then, you had to get the demo. Now you just put a freestyle up there, joint go viral, get like 11 million views, and people come after you. So
And a DJ spin.
Yeah.
And the prominent DJ hears that.
Right,
Next
you
thing
on.
you know, okay, Instagram, bam, Snapchat, bam.
Well, they going off of your follows
you
on
know.
social media for real.
the only thing that's remain constant is like, you know, the test of like the strip club. I mean, just to interject that in there, like, yeah, if it get like a bunch of spins there, I mean, you pretty much know you got a hit on your hands.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So now I kind of want to go through the album as we talked about, you know, the themes that were present on the album, sort of like the highlights and going through as far as like your highlights on the album. So I'm going to start actually with Damo, your highlights as far as the songs that you like the best on the album. What were the highlights for you?
I actually like the Pain a lot. That was one of my highlights. And my other highlight, I like Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, Cal Macula, baby.
Yeah, Cal Macula. You got 36 prostitutes and you got 30 dimes. I said, oh, he pimping on here. So those two are my highlights of the album. And then Big Daddy was spitting too. He made me, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how even after all those years of not really putting out an album, that right around that time he started giving a few features here and there, and he was just letting people know, like, all right, I just let y'all know I still got it. You know, like
He definitely-
you know, he had
He
to.
definitely had like the features you were like, oh, Big Daddy getting it right now.
Yeah.
And Chubb Rock on the low.
Yeah.
Chubb Rock on the low. He gave a little something too. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two was my highlights.
Indeed. Jay, your highlights on the album based on songs, the tracks that you thought stood out.
I guess I have a couple more because again, I'm just like really big on concept albums. So, in no particular order, I would say War Party, just because I love like the role they were taking on, just like the lyricism behind it, and like I'm the dope up in your brain, like syringes coming through, kicking doors off the fucking hinges, like just the lyricism on that.
I'm in this like 40 fiends on 7-day binges.
right?
Yeah.
I'm with my felony offenders drinking Guinness. God damn.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and, of course, I already mentioned Prince Among Thieves just because it was a dope track, and then just like the history behind that track from listening to the story, it just like made you really pissed off at Tariq. Again, pissed off Tariq is a theme. So, and again, well, not again, but the showdown.
What do you mean? True.
I mean, True. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's
You mean True.
Pissed off at True. Yeah,
True, my
definitely.
bad.
Pissed off at True and not Tariq. Definitely, of course.
Let me track that from the record.
Yeah.
Bring that back.
Even though this fool did drop the N-bomb, I guess that was with his character, the Boys in Blue or Men in Blue, Everlast. Because he did take on that role of him being a corrupt cop and everything like that.
He ripped that joint though.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely.
He did. I just didn't think
I was
they let him take it
impressed.
to the extent of dropping dropping the N-bomb and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
Of course, it was one with Sadat X and Exhibit, just because of the way how that.
The track with Sadat X, it was also, I believe, with
Exhibit.
Exhibit as well, and then
Kid
there
Creole,
was-
I
and
think.
Kid Creole. That was
I can't think of the name.
Handle Your Time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
what
Handle
it
Your
is,
Time.
Like, yeah,
With
like
Sadat X, Exhibit, and Kid Creole all in there in a jail cell. Like they were
Right.
all speaking in the jail cell.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, so I would say, I'm trying to think, do I have any more? I mean, I know I gave a couple already, but yeah, I guess that'd be it. And now the one is like, if you got some flow and I got some flow.
Yeah,
like,
I like that. Yeah.
Just like the two opposite sides. Like True was saying, like, if he do act up, he gonna, you know what I'm saying,
Put the
catch
next
a leg.
man on.
Yeah, put the next man on.
Put the next
So,
man on. Yeah.
Yeah, so like just that dynamic right there of them exchanging bars, even before the showdown, like because you saw like how the mindset were then versus when True betrayed him and was that showdown and they busting each other. So
Yeah.
those probably pretty much all my highlights.
Your highlights,
Yeah.
indeed. Dave, your highlights?
All right, Steady Slobbing. I like how they took the.
I hate Steady slobbing on it too.
I like how he took the Steady Mobbing joint. You call that sexual healing, nigga? Get the fuck out. That was funny. Mick Hustler. That was a highlight. One day it dawned on me as a time rolls by, the same thing that makes you laugh, makes you cry. Sometimes I'm feeling winning, sitting back in the MP, relaxed, talking about a new beginning. You see, I'm just an MC. I'm just an MC. Weapons World, Cool Keith killed it.
Yeah, and I'm not, I'm typically not a fan of Cool Keith.
Me neither.
Just full disclosure.
I mean, yo, he got his man on that joint though.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I mean, he definitely served his purpose.
War Party, I think he said coming for head straight off the top. He said mixing alcohol with automatics. That was pretty funny. Big Daddy K said nowadays player hating going around like the plague. That was pretty funny. Mr. Large with Chubb Rock. That nigga said I'm the shit.com.
www.imtheshit.com.
Yeah.
Right.
He said I love black people, but I can't stand niggas.
I think we all kind of feel that.
My mantra
was
for
like-
life, yes.
I think we all kind of feel that. We all,
Even when I was 17, yes.
yeah, we all just cannot stand them.
Put the next man on. You got flow, I got some flow. You getting dough, and you best believe I'm getting some dough. He fuck up, and the devil getting the last dance.
That joint was hard, bro.
And my personal favorite was Chris Rock channeling Pookie. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat your ass. You gonna be the only person in heaven with a wheelchair. Dog, I died laughing.
Yeah,
I died
that's,
laughing when I heard that. That was good.
But of course, he had to channel the extra effort a crackhead would put in to give what they want
Yeah.
towards the end of that track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Study techniques. I ain't gonna go into detail as far as what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, but he went into sort of channeled, I think, a little bit of Pookie and also Cheap Pete. You
Yeah.
know, we sort of mixed both of them together, trying to bargain for some crack. Chris Rock, that the nice little laugh in there.
Yeah.
My highlights, to me, I had a few. My highlights, I love the other line with Heroin. And the fact that he was calling his girl to try to get him to call out. I need you to call out so I can go get this money. And she giving him the business because he always calling out, you know? Everybody, I think we all know a partner like that too, always calling out of work for some nonsense. Like, dude, if you don't go get your bread, man, like some legitimate bread.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I love War Party with Horror City, of course. They were the thugs explaining what they did for the organization. Maculus Theory, absolutely, with the Big Daddy Kane, showing that he still got it. Mr. Large, Mr. Large with Chub Rock, who to me, I still think when it comes to getting his props of all time, I still think Chub Rock is even a slight little bit underrated all time, man. The fact that what he's contributed, and the bangers he sort of put out, man. And he's still out there performing nowadays.
Yeah, even the later '90s. I mean, that joint like the Dodge Effects, that joint.
Exactly.
Man,
Yeah, like,
that joint.
I tell Brian all the time, like Return to Crooklyn Dodgers '95. It's one of my favorite tracks of all time. He ripped it. He never gets the credit that he really deserves.
That's because Biggie took over.
Even still,
did he back Biggie more than Chubb?
And I think the game sort of changed then too. So sort of like what Chubb was doing, the game was moving in a different way. The type of rap that was being promoted then, and what people were talking about was sort of like in the forefront. He was sort of pushed to the background. You Got Shot to me is another good one with the ODB sample from Brooklyn Zoo. Nicely put in there. Of course, the highlights of production is A1. Being a producer myself, I love being able to listen to the samples and listen to the original song to see how they were cut down and cut up and chopped and then manipulated. Those are my highlights. So I kind of go around now to get everybody's favorite song then and now. So I'll start with you, Dave. What was, I guess, if you had to put your favorite song, what is it? And did that change, or is it still?
Seeing as how it was the first time I heard the record, it's like I like Mick Hustler. That's probably my favorite. And a sleeper pick would, like I said, it's a tie between Mr. Large, and I like Mood for Love too.
Okay,
Mood for Love is pretty slick.
Jay, your favorite song then and now, has that changed?
I wouldn't say it's changed much. I would say like Horror City again, because like it did kind of have like that street hardcore and like the lyricism and just like even like with that, the shock value of the bars, like I get thank you letters from emergency from filling vacancies. Like, it's like, they awarded me for being the most do the most to boost the industry, like that type of lyricism. And then put the next man on anything that I wasn't rocking with back then, I'm rocking with more so now.
Got it.
Say, I'm trying to think. Probably Pain, because I didn't really appreciate how it set up the rest of the album, how early was on there. So
yeah,
because I mean, I'm like I said, back then I'm 17. Like I wanted to get through the rest of the album, but like I'm saying, it's kind of like that slow start. You know what I mean? Like even like a Goodfellas movie, like I said, like that setup as far as like this is how the ending is before the beginning, and but yeah, now so I really appreciate like the build up to the story. So that's kind of crept up in there now. 20 years later.
Damo, your favorite song?
Well, back then it was steady slobbing because my mindset at 15, steady slobbing.
Right, indeed.
It wasn't doing nothing, but was still mindset was steady slobbing back then. Now,
even the skit leading up to the song, like
now it's Pain, and that was before I even knew that. Back then I didn't even know it was going into the story of right after that. I like the flow on Pain. I like the feel of Pain. And I just related to it. So now I love Pain is my favorite song on the album.
My favorite song then and now is still Maculus Theory. To me, I just think that Big Daddy Kane he's a highlight on there no matter what.
He's definitely a highlight.
Yeah. Now to me, he's on my Mount Rushmore when it comes to the 4 lyrical titans of all time. Him, Rakim, Kool G Rap, and KRS-One. Those are my 4 lyrical titans of all time on Mount Rushmore. And he's right up there. And of course, we always have the debate where people is always trying to find out, man, who's better, Rob, Big Daddy Kane? You got people who like them and people who like Rob, people who like Big Daddy Kane. It all kind of depends on the style. But to me, especially, I think it had been at least 7 or 8 years since he had put out an album. And he steps up here with the feature. Reading a rap review that I read back then on rapreviews.com, going back and reading some perspective, there were people who be like, "Oh, Big Daddy Kane laces this track. Let's hope we get another solo album from him." no dice, but I mean, what he's put out has spoken for itself. A song that I think I slept on then that I appreciate more now was Men in Blue. I think I had some amnesia and forgot how good Everlast could flow at times, and playing the role that he played, Officer Crooked Cop, him being the one white guy on the record.
Bitchkowski or
exactly.
Something like that.
Being as though he was the one white guy on the track, and he threw the N-word on there when he called him a mooly nigger. But hey, look, if you're in New York and you deal with some cops, especially the ones particularly of a certain persuasion, whether Italian or some sort of European, that was a word to be able to a derogative term to refer to black people was moolies.
Fucking mooly.
Yeah, so it was
He was kicking that man.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
But to me, going overall, like I said, concept album was a brave thing to do, and really could be something that could backfire on you. If it doesn't work out, it could backfire, and if it bombs, then you went through a lot of different features. I couldn't imagine that the budget on this was not necessarily cheap. Now, one person produced the entire album, so you saved some money there, but you definitely showed out some money on some features, especially if you got Big Daddy Kane and Chef Rock to rap.
Yeah, he had like DJs on there too. Like
exactly,
it was like about 10 DJs on there.
Yeah,
I guess along with the production.
Exactly. People to do drops and the drops for the track Prince Among Thieves that were coming out. We've all mentioned some quotable lyrics, of course. Some of the great lines. There are quite a few great lines here. To me, I think it was a great job by Breeze and Big Sean to sort of be the two central characters here, especially on tracks, as you guys mentioned. In particular, with the two of them, You Got Shot was one of them. But then, of course, another good The Pain, of course, was another good track with the two of them sort of going back and forth.
What you got?
Yeah, what you got, with the demo. I think it worked well with the whole concept of this being a movie because that's your, leading actor and supporting actor right there. But then sort of move on to talk about as far as we've sort of talked about now the song reviews. We've gone through everything. As far as any lowlights here on the album, just want to go through to cover any lowlights if anybody has any. I know I have at least a couple. I don't have any individual song lowlights, but I have a few.
What you got?
35 songs.
Yeah.
What you yeah.
To me,
what you got was,
well, to me, yeah.
Yeah, that was. I was trying to get into it and I couldn't really get into it. I was confused. I'm like, first of all, I didn't even know when the verse even began. So I'm just like, what the hell's up with this track? Like, what is going on? That was pretty much my only low light is the fact that I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on with What You Got.
Mm-hmm. I think the first time around I didn't get What You Got. But I told you I didn't listen to it like 5 times. Yeah. Because the first time I struggled. But then the second time I listened to it, I figured he's letting him hear his demo. This is before I even knew it was his demo. And once you know that he's letting him hear the demo, you understand when they start he's trying to get him to flow again. Because remember, he retired because he realized that Tariq was better than him once he told him how to rap. So then he's like, you still got it, OG? Go ahead, give it to me. But the flow was trash.
The flow.
True flow was trash.
Yeah. Oh, it was trash.
You see why you retired, bro.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Jay, any lowlights on the album? This stuff in particular, not necessarily songs, but anything, like a part of a song, somebody's verse.
Let me see. As far as I can see how What You Got could be considered a low point.
Yeah.
I understand the flow it played its part in the story, but then
Silk the Shocker type flow.
Oh man, I don't think it was that bad, bro.
It wasn't that bad.
Nah, somebody had a Silk the Shocker type flow on there. I'm gonna get to it in a little bit though. Go ahead though, Jay.
Unless we look to the future saying blue. I mean, not name names. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I guess like when the preacher bailed him out, I mean like the rapping sermon or whatever like that. I mean, I didn't think that was necessary. I didn't think that was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But nah, the journey with the hoe was funny. Like before Stacey Sloppy came.
Oh yeah, yeah, indeed. My low points for me, it was the track with Kool Keith, Weapon World. I've never really been a big fan of Kool Keith at all. It's a difficult flow. To me, he has a little bit of a difficult flow to sort of get into, It's just sort of like, how like if you were in ciphers and you would sit there and cipher would be going well and everybody's bobbing their head and then that one dude sort of comes in and he got a few good lines and all of a sudden he says something and all of a sudden everybody's head stop nodding. And he keeps going and then eventually your head start nodding again once he sort of recovers back from that. But that's sort of like Cool Keith's flow to me.
Yeah,
you know, you want to know who else's flow is like that to me? Sadat X. Because I've never really been a big fan of his either.
Hey, man.
Oh man,
Today,
nah,
bro.
man.
Well, look,
Ooh.
Sadat X with Brand Nubian, like, being in between in the group dynamic, he's a little bit better. But I've never been a fan by him by himself, man. That's just me.
So
I know that's an unpopular opinion, but
so on 1999 with Common,
Yeah, I
what'd
was
you
just
think?
about to ask about that.
What'd you think?
Yeah.
I would have rather substituted Kweli, who actually was on the track and said something on the intro.
True.
You know, now it was still a
fact.
great song, but I would have rather Kweli rapped instead of Sadat X.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is like, it just makes you think back as far as like his Sadat on the subject of Sadat X's voice. Like,
Yeah.
I never forget. Like, I was in high school. Like, like after school, you watching BT Rap City or whatever like that, and then showing my age again, but whatever. And I remember my mother called the house, and like it was a Sadat X train playing. She thought I had like a baby in the background.
Oh, Lord. She like, you done put a surprise baby on us. When you gonna tell us about that?
It's like, hold on, like, so why somebody got a baby over there? Like, now it's on TV.
But that's really my low points, man. It's to me, like, like I said, never really been a big fan of Cool Keith. I know there are people like, out there and folks on the message boards and on the internet that love Cool Keith because his content and the words and stuff that he uses. But for me, it's just like, it's too inconsistent of a flow to be like, yeah, dude, I can mess with you, man. The same thing with Sadat X.
Oh yeah, people up in New York swear by Cool Keith.
Yeah, I know, man, but
It's New York though.
It might just be the Bronx, honestly. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's I never been a fan of Cool Keith or Dr. Octagon, any one of his. Yeah. So
And I will give him a little bit of credit that he had a couple like
This is
joints on the
classic.
production side.
Yeah.
production
This is
side,
classic
as-
music
as-
reviews.
yeah, so, but
As lyricist, nah.
so those are my reviews. So now we've gotten to the end. We've gone through the albums. We've gone through track by track, everything else. We've gone highlights. We've gone favorite songs then and now. So now we get to the final end, to the ultimate test. How does this album age? Does it stand the test of time? Is it a certified classic? Is it borderline? Or is it just classic in its time? So I'll start.
Classic for its time.
I'll start with Damo. So Damo, that's your verdict.
Classic for its time.
Why do you say that?
All the music we've heard now is definitely classic for its time. Dave couldn't get through it. He's struggling. 35 songs. 35 songs is not the. If it would have been 35 songs or at least 20 songs of fire out of 35, I would say it's bona fide classic.
It's a lot of interludes, though.
Yeah. So it's just classic for its time.
Jay, what do you say?
I'd probably say, I mean, like I said, I like concept albums. I mean, classic for its time. Only thing that kind of, like when I started doing research on everything, like just know there was that much more potential there, like I said, with the whole film thing. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of crazy that Tommy Boy, whoever wouldn't get behind it, because I mean, that was like around the time, like those straight to DVD, like straight to, well, not DVD, I don't know, popping like
tape.
that back then, but tape.
Tape.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
straight to tape.
Tape CD.
Like they were popping back then, because that was like maybe 2 years after I'm About It came out, and that blew up. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen how About It. I'm pretty sure this could have been a better quality in production. I'm About It had it been manifested. So
Yeah, I got
mean,
the hookup.
it's-
Yeah,
yeah,
I got the
yeah,
hookup.
I got the hookup.
And that was actually in the theaters, though.
right. So
You know?
I mean, and this one even had to make it to the theaters, but it could have been made it more like of a cult classic, like an underground classic.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think with that and I mean, like the low points on the album, I mean, I guess everybody mentioned it kind of put like classic for its time in that category. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
Dave?
I mean, it's a classic for its time. Again, this is the first time I heard it. I'm not sitting through 35 songs ever again. It's
Yeah.
just
Hard to go through 35.
Have like have a little intermission or something. I guess.
Yeah, just like Damo was saying, if it was 35 tracks and 20 to 25 of them were bangers, this would be an
Easy 35.
Easy, classic. But
I don't know if that's
I'm
ever going
saying-
to happen in hip hop though.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing 35 songs again unless you Chris Brown
Yeah.
you got a lot of time.
or
on
The
your
Dream.
hands.
Right. Yeah. Now, and so to me,
That's R&B.
I think it's a sweep across the board. I think it's classic in its time, and I think it's a step below being a borderline classic because of the creativity of it. To me, I think that's what stands out about it more than anything
I will
else.
give you that right there.
The creativity for me, I think it stands out, and listening to it 20 years afterwards, especially after seeing the landscape that we have with the music game now, that there's so many copycats and retreads and people copying off of each other, and everybody with the same flows, using the same beats. And it was refreshing to be able to hear that after 20 years. But thinking about in the time period we're talking about, it's probably just classic just for in this time. And at that point, I think it was probably even a middle of the road album considering the time period we're talking about. But good, a good album, a very good album actually. But I think, for then, I think it was a good one. So there we are, Prince Paul, A Prince Amongst Thieves.
I will also say if he would flow a little bit more better. A little bit more better production for now. The production way different now, so a little bit more in the flow. And you had those videos that he could have just went straight to YouTube. Oh, it would be a classic right now.
Yeah,
he would have had a fantastic movie.
Yeah, almost, and like not to compare with the individual in Chicago that has made other videos, but like almost like the hip hop trapped in a closet, but with more content and better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. It could have been.
That's what I'm saying.
It could have been on that level again. Had they, if it came out now,
because then he wouldn't have had to worry about Tommy Boy. He could have just went straight to YouTube and did it from there and do it his own video, and then would have had it.
I think it speaks to the time that we're in now. What's better about the industry now is the fact that if the fans want you to have the content, they'll support you monetarily to be able to get you. This is the great thing about crowdfunding and going independent, where your fans now can directly support you and provide you the capital directly to be able to get the things done, to be able to see the content they want to see from you. Yeah. And that's the good thing I think about with the industry now, as opposed to back then where the label had the checks, and if they weren't writing the check, then it wasn't getting done. So
right, yeah, kind of like takes that chokehold they had off of it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's kind of funny about the industry. You say like, because it's kind of a double-edged sword now, like with the way things are set up. Because one, it's great because you could put out your own stuff, but it's kind of bad because anybody could put out some stuff, and you know what I mean. Like it just, I guess it's a sign of the times as far as like who views it and all like that. But like stuff that I'm pretty sure we all know is just like bonafide hot garbage, you know what I'm saying? It's like getting like views and
the good thing about it is also the bad thing about it, because there's no entry point. There had to be an entry point back then. There was sort of like a point you had to get to before you could release something to the masses. Now the entry point is so low, therefore the bar is so low.
I mean, and some people are creative with it too, like as far as because honestly, I'll even say like back to the point about 50 Cent trolling and everything like that. Like you can consider How to Rob a troll record, but you know, he's still creative. Yeah, it was creative.
Creative,
absolutely. And honestly, even Eminem, what My Name Is, because everybody thought he was a novelty, but then when you bought the Slim Shady LP, he was spitting fire lyrics, and then
that's Slim Shady LP.
And then even more recently, and I'm still trying to wrap my head even around how this happened. Like, you guys familiar with Doja Cat? That Bitch I'm a Cow video. I just sat there like she showed me this. I'm like, yeah, what the hell is this? Like, like boo. I'm like, this thing got like 50 million views. 50 million views. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's like it's nothing. Exactly. Prince Paul, A Prince Among Thieves. You can find it anywhere. Pretty much you can get music nowadays. That is, of course, going to wrap it up. Just another edition of The Vault. Please make sure you check us out on our host, Podbean. That's vaultcmr.podbean.com. You can also download, stream, and subscribe to The Vault CMR on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We appreciate all the support. If you have a friend, tell a friend, and tell that friend to tell a friend. As always, remember to keep your headphones on and your music loud, but not too loud. And as we close, I'd like to remind everyone to dream big, because dreams are the basis for creation. Always create, motivate, and elevate, because you were never destined to stay stationary in this life. And on that note, we say peace.
One love.
Thank you for listening and coming into The Vault. Please subscribe and follow us on Facebook at IV Creative and Instagram at IVECRE8.